Drew, what's better than a zoo?
I don't know.
Planet Zoo! Drew, this time we checked out Planet Zoo by Frontier Studios. Now, this is a Zoo Tycoon game, and boy is it ever.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a Tycoon style game. Now, we jumped into the beta, so this is very early still, nowhere near polished, finished development of the game.
A very limited campaign.
Very limited campaign, very limited franchise mode, which I kind of struggled in, to be honest.
Very complicated, yeah. That one is for not the beginner.
No, you definitely want to start with the campaign. I enjoyed the campaign, but even then I kind of had a couple issues of, it says to do this, and I'm doing it, but it wasn't registering when I was doing that part of the tutorial kind of thing.
Hopefully that's just a beta snag, because I didn't have any sort of issues like that. No sort of game-breaking thing. Now, finding the different enclosures and figuring out what kind of plants go with the animals was where I was really having a hard time. So
there's a lot of micromanaging in building the zoo. So I built a small location, thinking I was gonna house like a tortoise. That'd be perfect, right? So I then adopt this tortoise, and I couldn't find my tortoise.
Oh no!
So I was like, where'd that go? But that was the franchise mode, and I honestly struggled a lot with the franchise mode because I found there was a lack of information, providing that there was so much information, but I didn't have the information I needed for that enclosure to cater to that particular animal, right? So if I was gonna have that tortoise, what plants go with that tortoise?
Yeah.
What kind of environment should I have for the tortoise to enjoy?
And they kind of give you, they'll tell you like it's an African tortoise or an Asian tortoise or whatever, and that kind of gives you the idea of what plants to put around it, but it's very complicated and it's not exactly that easy. You can't just select, you can select just Asian plants and then put those on the map, but that's not really what the tortoise maybe wants, and it's hard to kind of navigate all the panels because there's a lot of information presented to you.
Well, there's a ton of information presented to you at all the time, though. I thought, right? Like
every phase of it, you build this almost like a city sim level of detail when you're building the zoos. You can change the heights of the individual walls. You can all sorts of different customizable options to make it look like your zoo and how you want it to look. I thought that was really good and really solid. But then you get into these animal micromanagement parts where I kind of would have liked a little bit more of a simpler idea, but the depth is there. What a deep game.
Oh my goodness. So I had that enclosure, couldn't find my tortoise whatsoever, but I had 2 wild dogs. So I brought the wild dogs in, and they're not happy whatsoever. So I'm trying to figure out why they're not happy. Okay, I figured out my enclosure was too small. Made it bigger, but then their social isn't good. I'm like, okay, I need more maybe? Like it tells you the problem, but it doesn't tell you the solution.
Yeah,
which is very kind of the issue. No.
Yeah, and sometimes it won't even get into the specifics of the issue. It'll just say the terrain isn't right. No. So you're up to guess at what kind of rock or whatever the animal actually wants, and that's interesting if somebody knows all these things. But if you're not an expert on animals, and you're like me, you don't know what to do. So I feel like we're kind of missing a little bit of that tutorial stage. The campaign functions as a tutorial, and it's very well guided.
I think it is. Excellent.
They had interesting voiceover. And
comical-ish?
Yeah, different personalities talking to you and stuff, and I thought that was interesting, and it kept me going, and I was intrigued, and I was learning a lot from that. But you're right, jump into the franchise, and I feel like I'm missing
everything.
All the other lessons.
Yeah, no, I thought, honestly, the campaign is probably the way I'm going to stick with the most for the longest portion to really get your ground and understand how you're going to get your zoo and build that zoo and populate it, because I was instantly running into money issues, but I didn't have the population for the zoo. I only had 2 animals, and they weren't happy from the get-go whatsoever. So it was a constant struggle that I never felt I was able to catch back up to please and make a well-rounded zoo.
Or even just to pull in that population. And if they are, they're probably pretty angry PETA types, not happy about your zoo construction. But an interesting idea, and I want to see where this one goes with a couple more tutorials, because it's just so detailed that I know you really can, if this is your kind of game, you really can make the zoo that you want to make.
I've seen stuff on YouTube that other people have made, and it will blow your mind, the things that they've created. I saw one particular that was underwater, and you can see through the clear glass, and they had like an alligator up top, and you can see below, and it was, I'm like, man, you can sink hours into just one enclosure.
Absolutely.
And you can be there for 10, 12 hours, no problem, just focusing on that, because you're able to minutely place every little detail from the rock to a piece of like grass to almost
Long
like,
grass,
you know what I mean?
tall grass,
Exactly.
short grass,
This plant, that plant.
rocks, every plant across the planet almost.
It's incredible.
And all the animals to match, and it's what a very detailed thing, and that's what kind of separates this one from the other kind of zoo tycoons. Is even when you get into that enclosure, there's so much detail there.
Yeah, it's not just go and you just drop the enclosure and you're done. Now, they did the Zoo Tycoon initially on the Xbox, and that was a matter of, okay, you place your enclosure, you then drop a little animal in there, and then you do a little food section over here and some other stuff. Here it is, you do wall by wall by wall by tree by branch by post by, if you want to do
the slow feeder, is it a big feeder bowl, and then when it comes to toys, do you know what a lion plays with? Because I don't know what a lion plays with. It's hard to do that.
Not slicing at me, I'm okay. So.
Yeah, it was hard to kind of match their wants and their needs. Because you just don't know.
I just need a better understanding of how I'm supposed to build the enclosure that's going to adopt to the animal that's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, although you and I were confused a little bit within Planet Zoo, I think if you come from the Planet Coaster or anything else the Frontier have done, you really know what you're getting into with this type of game. Planet Zoo offers so many options. Whether you want to be a little more simplistic like I do, maybe kind of stick to the campaign, or if you want to go in full detail and then you go into the franchise mode and do completely, like almost like a sandbox build, that's there for you as well. Wrapping up, I think it's definitely something you should kind of keep your eye out for. What do you think?
Definitely have to agree with that. It's a very detailed game, and we're only going to see that make more sense as time goes on and they kind of iron out some of the kinks with this. So there's a couple issues here and there, but overall, I have to recommend this one because if this is your kind of game, you're going to be all about this.
Absolutely. You should check it out.
Come on, let's head over to our warthog habitat and see what needs doing.